Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Good to see you, Mun, Kevin. Oh, the intro. I'm really lucky. That one is kind of like due to, let me do it right. Jason would be mad if I didn't do this.
Digital Juice.
It's a site and it's kind of a template of sorts. So I used After Effects. I'm totally going to crash my computer by doing this. We'll talk about this real quick. Have a little bit of fun right here. Do I have that one open? I've got all different things. But I use After Effects and all the different things. That one's a little easier to make. I just had to like cut the videos and put different things in there. A little bit more of a template on that one. The one that took a long time, because if you notice my the one I made, I'm in After Effects. Like even the super stats bros. Lindsay, good to see you here. Thank you so much, Nathan. People are saying impressive. We'll talk about this. Is Shang-Chi available in Pokemon Go this Thursday? Is that a Pokemon Go? Am I not paying attention enough to Pokemon Go? That's what really matters. So I make a lot of stuff. Jason made the Stranger Things one. So if you see in the background right here, I'll put it behind me. The Super Statistics Bros, I actually recycled. If you ever saw my Epic Stats 1 reviews, I actually recycled the Epic Stat 201 and worked with the effects to make the Super Statistics that appears at one of the intros. Oh, it's the new Marvel movie. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. If it's not in theaters, because I don't go to theaters lately, you're right. That's the new one. I do remember that. I didn't know it was coming out this soon. I'm so bad on that. I thought it was like a new Pokemon. But no, I should totally check that out. Yeah, I think I saw a little preview for that. I know the Eternals is coming out. But this is the kind of stuff I do in the background when I get free time, is work with. And you can see all the effects I put on it down here. I'm trying to figure out how to open up the effects panel. The effects panel's already opened up on it. But I do a lot of different Adobe and stuff like that. I think I might join the Fantasy League. I think I might. Just tell me when the draft is this weekend. Hopefully I'll be free. I think I could see doing that. What else was I going to say? Well, we got a few more big things right here. So one, who's been talking on Discord, and what do you think about the Discord? Who's been using the Discord and you're like, hey, pretty good. I try to hop in and answer as many questions as I can. I'm jumping between emails, personal messages on Discord, but put those questions. Has anyone used Discord to help them solve a problem for this class yet? Because the more we go to Discord and the more we ask questions on Discord, the more love it. So helpful. Love it. Megan says right there, Discord has helped me at least 6 different problems on assignment 1. Boom. And just put those questions into the general chat, be asking each other. Don't quite put answers. Don't be like, here's the answer to the question. But be like, here's how you work this. Here's how you do this. You need to change this to this or this to this. Maybe more than that. So if you're not in the Discord right now, I think it's a great way to get help, to ask for help, to be meeting people, to be talking through these things. I want to throw something to you real quick, a real quick question right here. I'm working on a presentation. I'll kind of show you a little bit about it. I'm using one of my template presentations. I love Discord. I'm amazed that you were answering questions after midnight on Thursday. Yeah, I don't sleep. If I'm up, I always try to stay caught up on stuff. So I jump between, like, sometimes I'll do emails for like an hour, and then I'll jump back to the Discord, answer personal messages for an hour, then I'll hop to the questions, answer those. I'm usually watching like some video in the background or doing something. Like, I could probably raise my productivity if I didn't watch a video, but I'd probably just go mad. We don't want that. But I want to show you a presentation I'm doing right here to start class and just ask you a little bit about it. I want to get your insights. It's going to be very helpful for me. So this is you helping Brian right here for about 3 minutes. So I want you to help me out. So I'm going to change the name of this presentation, but this is a presentation I'm going to be giving, and I want your insights on this. I'm trying to, with the incoming business analytics students, create something where we reduce the anonymity so you know each other. This is kind of what we've been doing with the Discord and stuff, trying to help with student collaboration. We're trying to put higher expectations and have some competition, like actual, you might even see this, actual competitions where you could win prizes. We might do it with the incoming class and have them competing, but we might even have some senior level competitions or as you go through. It's something that I really want to get started up where there could be like monthly competitions, and it could even be connected to a data camp course you could work through. Awesome. Great job, Matthew, right there. Here's the first question. Here's the first question. Question 1. Would you go to a ropes course to start out your business analytics experience? If it was paid for by the department, would you go to a ropes course, like a low ropes course where you do like the spider web thing, or you have to do like the balancing thing, and you have to like work together as a team, and it'd be totally paid for? We're hoping we're out of, current world situation time. So Whitson says yes. Megan says yes. Absolutely. I'd switch majors instantly. Oh man, it switched majors. I like that right there. So we're drawing from I like that right there. A lot of positivity. Thank you so much, Daniel. So much positivity right there. Oh, I didn't get points today. 100 points. Not for saying yes to all these things, but I didn't get points. I totally forgot. I was getting everything ready here at the start, so I didn't give the early points. So say, Brian, you can give us those early points. We're not going to show up early anymore. It's all right if you wouldn't go to this. Totally fine. We would pay for it. It seems like there is, at least from this response alone, we would have enough students going. But here's what I think is super cool. Instead of a business card, we don't want to give you a business card when you're part of business analytics. I know, like, mind blowing. We're going to give you what we're going to call a social card. And here's your social card. So this is an actual Topps trading card that I made on their site. And it would have kind of who you are. You could choose to get this or not. But this would be like an actual baseball trading card with your whatever. You could put a more fun picture than you want than a professional picture. But it's not meant to be like a business card. It's got like your personal interests, maybe your career interests, what you're doing, and just a little bit about you. That's also a link to my LinkedIn right there. You could put your LinkedIn if you want to put your Instagram, maybe your certain social media. But you would get a pack of 20 right there. I need a shiny of this. I wonder if they would make like a shiny or a holofoil. I'm going to contact maybe Topps today and talk to them a little bit more about this. That's a guy that looks like he's fun to hang out with. So when you meet someone in the program, you could say to them like, hey, do you got one of your trading cards? Or like, and they might be like, oh, I ran out. I gave them all out like first week to people. And then we could order you more trading cards or stuff like that. But this is how you could put a face to the name. I think this is a great way to reduce the anonymity. And you could have like a stack of your friends. It sounds weird, right? Which could be like, so I hope people think this is pretty cool, but we would you would send us your information, we would get these ordered, and you would just pick them up. And then when you meet people, Apple Wallet, oh, we could do that. So that's how we do it. Long-haired Brian. That's medium hair length Brian. You want to see long-haired Brian? I'll show you long-haired Brian. Wait, 1 second here. We'll go back. Ready? Let's start class. Could there be a little portion for social medias too? Or maybe, yeah, the QR link right there sends to my LinkedIn. You could do, it only allowed me to do one picture. So this is actually going through Topps trading site. And we don't have to put hometown or things like that. I mean, it forced me to put hometown in there. Longer than now, right? It's medium hair length Brian. Happening in an Apple Wallet would be pretty sick right there. So yeah, we should look into these things. Let me look into the Apple Wallet, but this is a presentation I'm giving about like the big data analytics bowl and trying to, it's cracking me up, Walker. So if you have ideas with this, maybe put them in the Discord. I'm doing a huge presentation to a big donor. I think I can say these things. And I want your guys' inputs. Yeah, the big data bowl is huge. Paul De Podesta says like, yeah, we pretty much only hire from this. If you want to get hired in sports analytics, if you're competing in the big data bowl, that's the way to go. So these are things that we want people to know about. Would there be multiple editions of the card if we change career goals or something? Yeah, we could do that. And so with the donor and stuff, like people already mullet next. Oh, we did we do mullet? No, we did ponytail or something like that. We got videos. I got so much be real material. So anyways, I'm really glad people like these ideas. I'm going through here. I mentioned things like the Discord and Data Camp and things we're doing, but I'm trying to help with these goals right here as you go through your majors. Lesson number 1 for BDB, running backs don't matter. End presentation. Well, let's go right here. Let's head. Wait, watch this. You're in for a treat right now. Oh, wait, here we go. Wait, ready? 2 seconds. I got to set something up. Oh, it's going to be... This is totally worth it. Totally worth it. 10 more seconds. If I don't do it, I can't do it. Oh, wait. Gosh, I am blind. Did I delete it? Oh, wait, here it is. Got it. Okay. Nothing to see. Let's go back to the main screen. Let's do this. Here we go. Welcome to Stat 1. How are you doing this morning right here? How's everyone doing? Everyone doing all right? I think I got something in my hair. Just 1 second. 1 second real quick here, everyone. Oh. I did that when I cut my hair. I did that video. Let me turn off that new haircut video right there. I totally messed it up. I did the effect way better when I did it previously, when I cut my hair. Anyways, that's what we got going on. No more fun. Put on that serious face. Fun's over. We were talking last time about factors. Everyone, good to see you today. A little bit of fun to start out the day. Let's get up the notes. How's everyone doing? Who's working on the assignment right now? Who is working on the assignment? And what advice do you have for people who haven't started the assignment? Who's working on the assignment? We extended the assignment till Wednesday. It's almost due now. And what advice do you have to somebody who has not started the assignment? Start it. Start it as soon as possible. Mount 7B, awesome. The PDF with the notes is really helpful. No, Lindsay. Lindsay is so mean. If you haven't started, you better start for that grind right there. You better start. Discord helps. So, yeah, start early. Start early, ask questions. And that's the thing. You don't want to sit down on it and be like, I'm going to work on this for 5 hours tonight. No. You do it in little bits right there. Do that assignment little bits. You'll learn quick to start the next one. Subsets confusing you. We did some of those during office hours today, I think. Or we did during 474. We might talk more about subset today. But the subset later ones, I think we've done during office hours some. We'll take a look. We're on slide 52 or so. I bet we could try Parker to come back to that at the end right here. Makes your brain hurt. That's because your brain's growing. Your brain's like learning. All that knowledge is getting poured in. And you're like, oh man, getting smarter as it goes. No, I appreciate it. Everyone's starting early on this. Not everyone, but if you've started early and you're working hard and we're still doing the 80 again, we should be increasing grades. I'll make sure my grader does that. If there's anything weird with the grades, let me know and we'll fix the grades. So this is a tougher assignment, but we are grading it really nicely. So you do get a lot of benefits. You do get a lot of benefits of us grading this very nicely or very nice. But if you don't start early, if you wait till like the day before, you're like, I have no idea how to do any of this. Some people will open the file and do not worry. Who opened the assignment file and then had no idea what even to do with it? Who, when you opened the assignment file, had no idea what even to do with it when you first opened it up? And that might be you if you do that. You don't want that to be you. When you first open it all up here, like, what the heck what's it this thing doing? It was complicated at first, now you're getting used to it. Exactly. So the earlier you start, the better. And by the end of the semester, you'll be like, this coding and R thing's not that bad. Like, as people keep telling you, our office hours a link. Yep, the office hours link are posted live on the YouTube channel. So you can see them under past streams, and there's also the link. Let me go grab that. We got 30. Ooh, what is going on with the amount of people watching live? Ooh, we're losing viewers. Oh, no. So the playlist for office hours this semester, does it have the most recent? It does. It's in reverse order. Do we already... I'm not live on office hours right now. Okay, cool. I'm losing my mind, everybody. Daniel dropping some pro tips for 20 points in the chat. Today's office hours. So remember, the office hours are posted on YouTube, and you will see that I am live. Data camp assignments are helpful, and we do go over stuff during office hours, so please check those out. Please start early. Let's hop in here to start talking about some variables. Let's do this. So an ordinal categorical variable is a categorical variable with order.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It'd be something like short, average, tall, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And how can we create this inside of R? So how does R see categorical variables? This is something, you should know it like this. How does R see categorical variables? R sees categorical variables as what? When R sees a categorical variable, it says, that's a blank. R sees categorical variables, 20 points, sees it and says, that's a blank. R sees it and says, that's a this type of thing. That's a this type of thing. It has levels. Those are the levels. I'll give 20 points for levels. These are levels. These are levels as a factor. Yeah, factor just means categorical variable. And so it's a factor. Great job. Another 20 points. We got to give out more points because that is the correct answer. When you hear levels, levels are the different answers, which, sure. Levels are the different answers to categorical questions. So we can take a variable that is categorical, like the class level someone is. So we have here class level, and we are storing that into X. Remember, left arrow into X. We can then make a table of that to just view it. It's like, here, just show me a table of these values. And then look at this. This is where it gets a little complicated. We have here how many arguments. Be careful. How many arguments are there? I'm trying to highlight just a little thing. It's the little things. There we go. There we go. Nathan, great job. We have 3 arguments. You are correct. They're rather large in some ways. There are 3 arguments right here. Great job, Shiv, also. We have here, what are we making a factor of? Do we want them to be ordered? And then this is the orders we're giving them. The levels are going to be freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So you see the reporting of the levels now goes in this orders. So this is an ordinal categorical variable. So once again, this is red. Create a factor from the vector x. Turn it into an ordered factor. And also make the order the levels of blank, 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 blank. And this right here is a huge argument which has levels, which is what the instructions are. Make the levels of it this. And we are telling it to turn it into this kind of vector. Now, here's a confusing question. What kind of vector is this right here currently? This is a vector, and what kind of vector is it? Practice, we just have to hear these terminologies and practice and say it to ourselves. When you see that the levels vector is a what vector? Because that's not a factor vector right there. It's a string, Joshua. Great job right there. Strings just means words. So that's just strings right there. That's just words. And I'm throwing some 50 points. I don't care if people get the answers right or wrong. It's all practice right here. You're answering these questions. You have to be here to practice. We're missing like 10 people. No, these 10 people are going to say, I don't get this assignment. What? Whitson, you broke my head with that. Whitson is saving 5 into... He's saying, save it this away. He's like, where's the beach? That's all I can think of was... We used to do that when we were kids. They were like, where's the beach? And be like, it's all right there. My brain. Don't ever get ADD. It's bad for your brain. Treating a categorical variable as text. What is a factor again? It just means it's a categorical variable. Like if we ask somebody, what animal do you own? And they say cat or dog, that should be treated as a factor. Think of it as a categorical variable, just like what day of the week is it? That's a factor. So factor and categorical variable are synonymous because R just sees them as factors. So this is a categorical variable here. When you see factor, you should say, oh, it's just a... If you have a vector that R is treating as a categorical variable, just same thing right there, but you really want it to be text, what can we do? We can use my favorite class of functions, the as dot. And what do the as dot do? What can anyone explain just briefly? As dot and saving into something will change the what of something. So if you use as dot and then you overwrite into something, you will change the what of something. Veda right there, amazing job. Changing classes, yep. And what is class? Class is how R sees and handles the object. So you're saying, take this DNA sequence that's currently saved as a factor and put it as a character, and then you're overwriting into it. So you're going to then change the class of it into a character class, which means when R uses this, it'll do different things with it. Like, just think about like the class of an object. Like, if there's different sports, like this is not exactly how a class works, but like you'd have the class of sport baseball, the class of sport basketball, and I say, give me a ball. Now, what are things you do with a ball if it's a baseball? What are things you do if something has class baseball and I hand you a ball and it has class baseball? So here's a ball and it's class baseball. You throw it. You hit it. Now you're like, well, don't you do that with all balls? How about a basketball? You can throw a basketball. True. You can shoot a basketball. You don't really shoot a baseball. You don't really hit a basketball. And you wouldn't dribble a baseball. Hit it into the parking lot right there. With your hand. Hit it into the parking lot. So you're telling R, this DNA sequence is a character vector. So when it chooses what it's going to do the character type things to it. Does that make sense? So you're just telling R what kind of thing this is. You're saying like, oh, this is a baseball, this is a basketball. You're changing how R views what that is. And then when R uses it in certain ways, it'll change what it does. Like if it puts it into a function, it might do something a little bit different because it's class character now. So you have to make sure things have the right sort of way that R views it, and you're telling it how this object exists. I hope this analogy makes sense. Because if you say this is a different class, it'll handle it completely differently. Like if I were to go here, I'll show. They say show, don't tell. If I were to take a vector, and if I were to put a vector in here like this, What type of vector do you think this is? Take a guess and think about how does R see this vector by default? So let's just call this vector 1. And what kind of vector do you think it is? I think I know what it'll be. I'm between two answers. Could you save it? Then technically you could try and it will get mad. I think it'll put in NAs. Good question. Megan, 20 points right there. Good question. I think it'll get mad. This is probably going to be integer, I believe. It's numeric. Should have took the other guess. I could make it integer, which is basically going to be the same thing. Still keeping it. I have to put them all, really? Let me use copy paste. Really? The L right here makes it an integer, and I have to do it to all of them. No. And so now that's an integer vector, which when you think about integers are just smaller number or smaller memory numbers. We don't have to go into too much detail on them, but they take up less memory than numeric. So numeric will do more precision calculations with double decimal precision. We're starting to venture into computer programming by talking about that. Integer and numeric are pretty interchangeable. Some computer science major is freaking out right now. Numeric takes up more memory, double decimal precision. So now let's take right here and go to vector 2 and do as dot numeric on this. And we'll take vector 1 and take a look. I've just stored vector 2 as a numeric version of vector 1. But what changes when I go here to vector 3? And how do you know these are words? I'm not going to run it yet, but how would you know that vector 3 is words? And what are you going to notice about vector 3? What will you notice about vector 3? Diego, great job right there. What will you notice? Quotes. Megan, awesome job too. We're going to see quotes, and that means it's going to be words. So we could go here and go to vector 4 and change it to as dot factor. And now notice it says factor with 5 levels. You have to be very careful between converting between things because these are basically just quantitative variables. This is categorical down here. And then this is just words, just like, how are you today? Because I could go right here and change it to how are you today? Like test, and I could go how, sure, are you today? And that's just a character string right there. It's only got one thing, so I would say yes. Oh, that's an object yes. This is the word yes. If you notice right here now, it's a character string with how are you today? Yes. The second element of the character string. Who knows what this will return? This is practice. Who knows what that will return? Take a look at my screen and be able to tell me what this will return. This is the very basics. And if you know this, you're doing good. You've got your basics down. It will return yes. And actually, I can make it return lowercase. Some people didn't put this, but watch this. Since this is a string, I could say to lower. And you know what you can do? You can take that and make it return that. And guess how I make it all caps? And why does this work? Because these are for class string, and I can turn a string to uppercase or lowercase. All these are... Cole, great job. Cole's writing position 2 of test. Yep. Yes, I know it, and yes is the answer. Yeah. Oh, do you know what this returns? Yes. What does it return? Yes. You know what it returns? Yes. Yes. I love it. So yes.
Wow.
Okay. Can you do vector 1? So that would do vector 1 save position 2 into it. So what we can do is we can go here to vector 1, and preferably we would go to position 2 and overwrite it with no. Now watch up here. Do you see this? Watch it. It's got... Oh, I didn't hit vector 1. Oops. There's no undo button. We broke it. But look what happened. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go to test. So look at what happened right here. What happened to my vector 1 when I overwrote a no into it? Who's on first? That's a good thing right there. What happened when I wrote into it? Turned it coerced it into a character vector. Does that make sense? It turned all of them into characters because you can't have the number no, which kind of goes back to an earlier question about like you can't turn words into characters. Let's say probably I think I know what's going to happen here. Let's go to vector 1 and say, that was a big error. Let's go ahead and put this back to as numeric. And with as numeric, let's go vector 1 as numeric. And guess what? It's going to now make what? What happened to that no right there? Who knows what happened to that no right there? You can use Command Z, but it will just undo the code. It will undo what you wrote, not undo the running of the code. Megan is right. That is an NA. And what does NA stand for? It's missing. It's just gone. It's gone. Instead of bricking completely like Python when you have two different classes. Oh, Python bricks like that. You take your phone, it's a brick. Put it next to the door. So all this good stuff right here. And great job with the Python right there. Good practice on Python. NA means it's missing. There's just nothing there. Nothing. And that's good review. This is good practice. Keep asking those questions. We're going back to the notes right here, but that was some good practice inside of R. Back to the notes. So the as dot is some of my favorite stuff right here. You can just go as dot factor, as dot character, as dot integer, as dot numeric. There's an as dot person, I think. I have no idea what that does. I don't understand the person class. Is there a way to undo running a code? Nope. No way to undo running code. Can't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Can't do it. Sorry about that. Cole, great question, 20 points. You can't undo running code. You can do all your code in order, and then if you have to undo something, redo your code. Be very careful. You run code, you can't unrun it. I wish there was a reverse. Someone needs to write a reverse function in R. It'd be really hard. It would have to save what you did. I don't know. There might be a way. I don't know how to write that. It'd be a really cool function, like undo in R. But the problem is it would have to undo all different kinds of functions. So it'd be very hard to write. Okay. Actually, I have an idea of how to do that now. It might take up a lot of memory. Sequences. With factors. Here we go. Converting factors into numbers. Now, this is tricky because when you take a factor right here, if you turn a factor numeric, what does it do to your factor? Take a look at what it does to your factor. If you turn a factor, that's exactly what I was thinking, Parker. Like Parker called it. You'd basically be saving save states with emulation and stuff, which we could do. That's how it'd have to be done. The easiest way, which would take up a lot of memory. You'd just be saving states between each code you ran. Every time you run a code, R just stops and saves what you did. So you can just undo. Just don't make mistakes. So when you take and you have something that is a character vector and you turn it into a factor, what do you notice? It gives you different levels right here. But then when you take that factor and turn it numeric, what happens? It alphabetizes it. So you have to take a factor that is numbers and first turn it into whats. So if you have numbers, I'll highlight where the numbers are at. And you want to turn those numbers into numbers, but they're factors. This is crazy. I've done it wrong before. So here's your numbers, and you want to turn them into numbers. You have to first turn the numbers that are words into what? Or excuse me, factors. You have to first turn the factors into whats to turn them into numbers. And then take a look. 23, 23, 5, 4, 2, 2, 12, 12. 23, 23, 23, 5, 4, 2, 2, 12. So you have to first turn them into characters. So you have to strings, basically. You have to turn exactly right there. Listen, everybody, strings. You have to take a factor, turn it into words, and then you have to turn the words into numbers. Just take a look. Here's our factor. This is the factor. And so here's our factor right here. We turn it into words, and then we turn it into numbers. So craziness right there. That's a tough one. Data frames. We're on the downhill right now. It's starting to pedal, and we're getting a little more speed. A data frame is a what-dimensional object? This is a key thing you need to know, which we're going to see right here. A data frame is a what-dimensional object? So whenever you have a data frame, you'll always know it has this many dimensions, which means when we call it, we'll put a comma right here. Two-dimensional object, you are correct. These are two-dimensional objects because there is the row space and the column space. There is a row space right here and a column space right here. And you can see it's where the rows are and where the columns are. And very important. Great job right there. Two-dimensional objects worth 20 points. So we got here two-dimensional objects, and you can see a data frame right here. So what are the dimensions of this data frame? This is a what-by-what data frame. Take a moment. And if we were to run dim on this, which gets us the dimensions on it. Dim. Right there. If we run dim on it, what would be the dimensions it returns? Now, it's two dimensions, but there are how many observations in each dimension? How many rows and how many columns? Good guess right there. 20 points, good guess. 15 by 2, exactly. There's 15 rows. And so if you ever want to remember, be like, I want to rock. Because it's rows and columns. Rows times columns. I used to teach this, and I had to keep it straight in my head, but it's rows and columns. Now, I think some people might have saw this right here. This is just a counter for the rows, so that doesn't matter right there. Rock.
It doesn't matter.
He doesn't care about it either. But we tricked everybody right there. Not everybody, but I can see why that's tricky. So does that make sense right there? Jack asking a good question. Thank you, Jack, for asking that. Good questions right there. That's just like a counter right there. No worries, 20 points. This is, yeah, I mean, it's just once you see it, you're like, oh, that's just like, it's telling me that that's row 1, 2, 3, or 5, all the way to 15. And then the columns, because you notice this has no column name right here, which kind of is a little bit of help that there's no column name right there. It's the row names actually. So there is actually something called row names, which can be really confusing. There are row names. We can name a row, and the row name for this is row 1. I'll show that real quick right here. There's a data set that actually has row names. So if we go right here and go to empty cars, you can see this looks like a variable. Let me make it clear. So this looks like a variable right here, but this is not a variable. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 variables. And if you don't trust me, dim empty cars, and there's 11 columns. But wait a minute. Watch this. Row names, empty cars. These are the names of the rows. Now, if we want this to be car name, we can go to empty cars and $ car name. Now, wait a minute. Why is nothing appearing right here? Why is nothing appearing right there when I type it? Like, when I start typing things start appearing. Like, I start typing CA, or, oh, it's doing car right there. But I don't want car. I want car name. Why is nothing appearing when I type this? I'm confused. It doesn't exist yet. Veda, great answer right there. It doesn't exist yet. So I'm going to write into the data frame and take the row names and store the row names as car names. Now watch right here. You'll see the empty cars now has a 12th variable in it. And look at the end of the 12th variable. It's the car name. You know what? But I don't want these to be characters. I want these to be a factor. Exactly, Nathan said, I'm making a new column. Great answer, Nathan. I don't want these to be, what could I do? I could highlight this code. This is a trick. And then we could put in open parentheses. And then we could go in front of this and write what? There's two things you could write right here. There's two things you could write, because right now it sees it as words. As.factor, great job right there. And if you notice, boom, and take a look, and we got it. It is now a factor. It is now a factor right here. The as dot, you can also do factor. Truthfully, I can't tell you the difference between factor and as dot factor. They basically do the same thing. But look at how easily we can add a new variable to this data frame, and we do all sorts of things very, very quickly. It's really, a few people said they've coded in Python. How much does coding help you solve problems? Who here has done any coding outside of this class, and how much can coding help you solve a problem or create something you want to use? For anyone who's done coding, who's gotten a little bit of experience where it's like, oh, I want to do this, change this, and it's like, let me just write this script or something that, I don't know, beats this video game for me. A good amount, a ton. Coding is, the $, great question. The $, connects a data frame to the vectors inside of it. So it's basically like an Excel spreadsheet. Once you type empty cars and then you type the $, and even Excel, I was literally doing an Excel spreadsheet last night, and my fiance was like, you did this in 5 minutes? I was like, well, it's just some simple calculations. She was like, kind of impressed, because there's a house buying workshop that UT is going to have on like buying your first house. And I was like, well, I bet I could write like our own little thing to like see like how much we need to save and stuff. So I wrote like in 5 minutes all the equations. And I was like, well, if we're saving this much and this much interest and we put this much down each month, okay, here we go. There's this box for this. And she's just like, what? And I was like, I don't know. I've written a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. Well, sometimes I think in a classical coding mindset, confused. Oh yeah, Parker. I think we were doing that right. Still very helpful. Good job right there, Parker. Yeah. If once you learn a bunch of languages, it can get pretty confusing. So remember here, the dollar sign. The dollar sign does what? Who knows what the dollar sign does again? Who knows what the dollar sign does? When you write a dollar sign next to a data frame, what does it do? This is what we need to know. Coding will massively increase your patience. A random. Oh, Max, did we do that? Did you message me about the randomized workout? I need to do more. I've been doing some I don't know, some hammer lifts and stuff like that. It connects the data frame to the vectors, connects a data frame to a vector. So you can see right here, we can see all the vectors inside of here, all that good stuff. So yeah, Max, great job with that, Max. I remember you sent me that and we were looking through it and you were randomizing what you were doing. So you would get like a consistent, like you got like 2 exercises every time and then it would randomly pick. Max, great job right there, practicing making your coding, randomizing, because I think you were doing it in Python and then I just switched over to R and I was like, well, here's how I do it in R, because that's what I coded. But great job right there, Max, and everybody getting some practice. Let's go take a look at some more. Call a subset. Yeah, let's do some subsetting here coming up soon. And so here are some basics on making data frames. So this data frame right here has inside of it 3 vectors. So we are using the data frame function to create a data frame. I wish. So you just gotta eat that protein. Literally had my banana protein shake today. Woo! So we have right here a data frame. 1 second. This is about our animal. I'll be right back, everybody. 1 moment. Hey everyone, sorry I disappeared so quickly. Morty had to go to the vet today. I dropped him off this morning, and so the vet was calling. And so since this is about little old Morty, our bunny, I took the call real quick because they, were updating. He's had some problems breathing. He's all right, I promise. I don't want anyone freaking out about Morty. He was having some sniffles, and rabbits are obligate nasal breathers. They have to breathe through their nose. So we brought him to the vet, and they're giving him some fluids. They're giving him some food. He hasn't been eating as much, and so we brought him to the Met this morning. Does that make me Rick? I guess it does, right? We also have Jan Michael Vincent. But sorry for disappearing so quickly. I saw it was, if you couldn't tell, I had my ringer on today, not by accident this time. Can you put a pic on screen? He's in the intro. Here, I'll show Morty again, and then we'll head back to class here. So we'll head back to class. Wait, wrong button. I think we will caught. Someone knew the Mega Man too, I guess. Nice job on the call. It's always got to have some Mega Man. So sorry about that. Obviously, you know, Morty, you want to make sure he's doing all right. So I appreciate everyone taking a quick break right there. And I know I left really suddenly, but Morty, got to make sure he's all right. And they're going to call up Chelsea right here, and then we're going to pick him up later today. So he should be doing all right. Love the little guy. So what are we doing right here? He is a New Zealand white. He's the same kind of rabbit that's a Cadbury cream egg. Hi, this is... Okay, they're texting right now. Hi. The phone number is not working. 2 seconds. They're saying my fiance's phone number is not working. Okay, 1 second. Let me copy the phone number. Sorry, everybody. 2 seconds. I think everything they said is all right. This should be it. Okay, let me 2 more seconds, everybody. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. Okay, we are back for good. Here we are, and I think I gave them the wrong number. That's my fault. Okay, we're back. What are we making right now? We're making data frames. What do you notice go inside of data frames right here? What do you notice go inside of data frames? What goes inside of data frames? You see one right here. Oh, not there. Vectors. You are correct. Vectors. So you might say, well, wait a minute. Aren't those letters? They are. They're actually objects. So this object right here, the object X, is the vector 149, and you see this vector right here with the vector 149 saved as volume. And Megan's also right, these are also variables. And thank you so much, everybody, for obviously, I think it's understandable why I took the call, as Cole says, with the hard rock music with the bunny. Just making sure Morty's all right there. So with this, we see that we are making data frames. Here's the good news. We often don't make data frames. I've done it some. I do it every so often, but in this class, we won't worry about making data frames. We'll worry more about working with a data frame. Once again, a data frame here is a two-dimensional object. Who knows what the following would return? Stereo. And if we put these square brackets and put here 1, 3. So what would this return right here? Stereo 1, 3. So even I'm taking a moment, what would that return right here? You are correct. It would return A, because it's going to go to the first row. This is the row space, and the third column. So we need to be like, okay, and I'm throwing some 50 points. Thank you, everyone, for all the positivity and the love for Morty in the chat. But this is going to return to it the first row, third column, Wilton, exactly correct right here. So we can load data frames by using the read.csv. And so we have here a comma delimited file, and read.csv will load this in. Now, this is a file that is stored on your computer. What's different is this right here. This is like loading in pre-installed video games. So if you run this right here, try loading this right now, this will load the Iris dataset in your computer or into your R because it's preloaded in. This is a file saved on your computer right here. So this is a file saved on your computer. And then the lower one is going to be the file that is like preloaded in. So notice the difference. If you have a file saved on your computer, what must you use to load it? If you have a file saved on your computer, what do you need to use to load it? And you'll be correct when you say it. You'll be on the mark, and I'm going to show you something neat. What do you need to use if you want to load a file on your computer? If you want to load a file on your computer, read.csv is correct to load in a lot of different files, but check this out. Watch this. Let's go over here, and let's go library read Excel. Now, you must have installed the install packages read Excel. So I'm putting it here in this file for people to use later. So read Excel has a function called read XLS and read XLSX. Just take a wild guess at what these functions do. Take a wild guess at what these functions do. What do you think read XLS does and read XLSX does? Wild guess at what these functions do. Just be like, no way. They do that? What do you think read XLS does and read... It loads in... It reads Excel files. Reads, and does one of them say macro enabled? It might do that. It's got a whole bunch of different arguments right here, but they read Excel files. What do you think read CSV does? It reads a CSV file. So all of these will read in different files right here. What do you think read table does? It reads in a table. So this reads in files. They need to be stored in your working directory. So you need to have the file name here. Like if you have a CSV file, can't think of, do I have one called like Nestle.csv? Nope, I think it's got a capital. Nope. Where's that file? Where is that? Actually, do I have a Johnson & Johnson one? There we go. This file is in my working directory. Now, why does this not do anything? This data loads in preloaded in data. These are all preloaded data sets right here. Does that make sense what a preloaded data set is? Like, these are stored inside of R right now. They're not in like my files. I wish, yeah, it's being case sensitive is very, very important. And so Iris is part of data sets, so I can load Iris and take a look. When I run load Iris or data Iris, it loads it in. Now, promise means it promises me it's there. And it is there, I promise you. So the Iris dataset with the flowers is loaded in, but this is not a file on my computer. This is preloaded into R. The Johnson & Johnson data, J&J right there, is preloaded in. And if I wanted to store it, I would have to do this right here, and now it's stored. I don't have to call it J&J. I can call it whatever I want. So with this right here, we can call it whatever we want and store it into that object. But the key is, if you have a file on your computer, what start of the function are you probably doing to get that file into R? I had someone who graduated, and they emailed me, and they said, how do I load data into R? And I was like, you have to this it in? And I was like, oh, no. No, what have I taught you? What have I taught you? How do you load data into R? They probably just forgot. And I appreciate them asking. How do you get data that is on your computer into R? The key to these functions I was showing you is what start to them. Is that if you have a file and you want to get that file into R, you probably need to what it into R. Read it into R, you need to read. And then there's different types of reads, right? So you want to read it into R, and there's different types of reads right there. So there's read.csv, that's totally right there. If it's a CSV file or DAT file, those can be read with CSV format. Make sure they're in 50 points right there, Lindsay. Make sure they're in the same folder, because that'll cause a lot of issues if they're not in the same folder. That is a big error that a lot of people run into if they're not in the same folder. So here we see read table. Just another way to read in data. And it really depends on what kind of data you're reading in, how you have to read it in. So make sure you've got your data formatted. This slide's a lot going on right here, but it all goes to that we are just reading in data, and then we have to make sure it's formatted properly. And sometimes we have to go in and put in additional arguments, like there is a header, The separation is a comma. The strings that are currently there are going to be treated as factors. So if it sees a string like words, if we have strings as factors, anything that's a string will be automatically turned into a factor by default. So it's saying if this is words, then make it the class factor when it reads it in. And we have that set to false, so it won't do that right now. We don't usually go that complicated. Now, a thing that we don't do, you can if you want, it's not the end of the world, is you can use the read-in file right here. It's all right. When you use the kind of native stuff or the things that are built into R, sometimes they might not do things exactly the way you want them to, but this is not the end of the world. It says, don't do this. Let's put a maybe on that. I don't do it. Maybe don't do this. I would not suggest it, but I mean, if you get someone to work with it, that's fine. Here's how it looks. And once again, it doesn't give you every option. It also shows you the code when you do it. So you could just grab the code it does. I've had students do that. Like they've read something in and then they need it to knit because we have to do a lot of knitting. Like when you knit, you don't have this option. Does that make sense to everybody? Like when you knit, you actually have to have the code that reads in your file. So if you're going to knit something in 320, you can't pull up this window while you're knitting to load the file. But if you were to use this to load something in, and you copied the code it wrote, because it'll actually show you the code it's writing to do this. If you notice, it's got the same option as strings to factors and all these other options on how it looks with what the separation is and all these different things right here. You could actually then take this code and use this code to read it in. So it's not the end of the world if you use it. Reading in files, all this good stuff right here. I wouldn't suggest using the GUI. I'd suggest using the read files right there. Reading in Excel spreadsheets. Does anyone remember the name of that package that's really good for reading in Excel spreadsheets? It's not in the notes. But if you have to read in Excel, what is the really good package Brian just mentioned to read in Excel spreadsheets? What is the really good package I mentioned to read in Excel spreadsheets? 50 points on the line if you caught it. Close. That's the functions. So it was read XLSX for some of the functions. And there was the read XLS function. And the library is called read Excel. Nice job right there. Read Excel. Great job, Anna, right there. Another 20 points. Anna, you are correct. It's the read Excel library. And that's just where all the functions are housed. So you can install the read Excel library, and then you get the read Excel functions, which reads Excel files. Reading from the web, this is super cool. You can literally take a table someone has stored on the web and read it into your computer. And you know what's even better? There is a function also, or another library called library G-Sheet. And what do you think G-Sheets does? What do you think G-Sheets has it in here? What functions? Look at this. G-Sheet to table. And what do you think G-Sheet to table takes? It takes a URL. So what do you think this will do if you have data somewhere? What will this kind of read in for you? What will this read in for you? Which I might have a G-Sheet. Let me go grab a G-Sheet. We should be able to get this to work. I've used this one a good bit. So I need a Google Sheets. I'd be thinking about what this does right here. Untitled responses. Oh, this is, wait, student responses. Wait, what? I could maybe use that one. Contact. I got so many different responses. Let's go right here. This doesn't have anything personal in it. Okay. So let me sharing, copy link. So it should work. What do you think G-Sheets does? G-Sheet to table. It says it wants a URL. And what do you think if everything works today? Is it working? Ooh, it looks like it did it. Oh, it did something weird though. That's not quite what we want. Let's store it as X. It's taking Google Sheets exactly, and it's being a little bit weird today. We have to take a look at what's going on right here. X has a 1,868 observations. Ooh, it's not liking that. It's saying something's weird with that. Well, I'll have to take a look at what G-Sheets is doing lately. We're going to remove X from the global environment. But G-Sheets right here, you're supposed to put in the URL that you are using. And we'll put here URL. And then the URL converts Google Sheets to our tables exactly. Maybe I used the wrong G-Sheets. What's the other G-Sheet one? G-Sheet to text? G sheet to text. Format CSV is default. It's not liking it. It's saying no today. I've used it. I have a Mario Kart example where I've used it before, but that's exactly what it's doing. It takes a Google Sheet and turns it into a table. It should be working properly. I'll have to take a look, but it's just one example of what we can do. We can just read data from the web. Why is it not liking that? Let me see right here. 2 seconds. G Sheet in R. We're going to take a quick look. I'm going to grab their example code and G Sheet, and we want G Sheet to table, and G Sheet to table, read CSV, G Sheet to table URL. They certainly have examples. Here we go. Okay. I'm pulling up their example, which I don't know what data they have here. And they've got Docs Google. Oh, they do have something. Is this just... It's the MPG cars. Oh, there we go. And then let me go grab my URL. These are the spreadsheets. Let me go grab my URL, copy the link. Link is copied. Let me go grab the extension at the end of this. It might be the sharing. And let me just go put this right here. That looks to be good. It's still doing it, and I want to know why, but this is working. It is being a little bit weird. Something's going on with it. It's giving a ridiculous data sheet, but G Sheets is working, and I'll have to take a look later why it's giving such a long, crazy error. Let me try one last thing. It is sharing it. Oh wait, it's saying one more of the parsing issues, URL. There's something going on. Well, we'll leave in this example right here. Wait, Control Z. Here we go. We'll put in this example we did right here, I think. And there it is. So there's a working example of G Sheets where we save a table from the web, which is currently working. Let's take a look at a few more examples here to end class. Going back to the notes. Dimensions of a data frame. What function do we call? 20 points. Who's paying attention right now? We got this. What function do we call to look at the dimensions of a data frame? What function do we call? We could call the number of rows, which is n row. Dim, great job, Parker, right there. We could call n col, which is the number of columns, and that just tells us the dimensions of a data frame. Overview of a data frame. We can do structure, str, which will just look at the structure of a data frame. Str is the structure of a data frame. We can summarize a data frame, and this just literally does a summary of every single variable. Depending on what class the variable is, it'll summarize it differently. Now, all of these are numeric. Here's a Google Sheet for data on a souvenir. Oh, cool. Copy link address. So we should just be able to take and go here to URL and drop in the URL. And what is going on? It says HTTP error. No. Let me try putting this in the web. Oh, it's doing... Oh, this is a YouTube. Wait, did I... What? Let me... All right. Whoa. This might have a different format. I don't know what YouTube I just put in here. All right, here we go. There, we got it. There you go. That's, whoops. I might have to block that out. I don't know those names. Sorry. But that is working. Does that make sense right there, Whitson? I might have to cut that part of the video real quick. But does that make sense, Whitson? We did read it in. I think, did Whitson put it? But is this making sense? And Whitson's calling it by calling the library. I want to point out what Whitson's doing right here. There, real quick. Whitson is taking right here and going to G Sheet and going inside the library by doing this. Now, this uses kind of like going into the library. Does that make sense to everybody right here? No, it's really cool. So what is that sheet for again? All those acronyms. So this right here goes inside of the library and takes the functions inside the library. So you notice we can pull up the functions normally, or we can go inside of the G Sheet library like Whitson's doing right there, using the : to say, we want to use the G Sheet library and use a function inside of it. A lot of times people do this if they don't want to load the full library. They just use one of these functions right here, but this will work the same way if we have the library loaded. Both of these lines right here are the same thing. It's just line 21 pulls it from the library, and then line 22 assumes you have the library loaded. People have written PhD dissertations on the data science of Survivor. Oh, wait, is that what the data is? So is it those names? So Whitson, those things are like public stuff, right, Whitson? So those names, I'm always worried if I see like names or something. All those names are like public names. Is this Survivor, the TV show? Oh, okay. So that's all public, right? Okay, good. I get worried when I see names. Like if it said like Social Security, I'd be like, ah! I'd be like, ending stream now. Yeah, I'm always worried since we're live streaming. Thank you so much, Whitson. That is awesome. Yeah, I see right here. It's got like all these Alexis and all these people, like their games and stuff. It looks like this is really cool. Yeah, so you could load that into R really quickly. So we loaded that into R just like this by just saying load this into R, and yeah. You can just get it loaded into R instantaneously. It might not be formatted perfectly, but you can load it in pretty quickly. And that's just using G Sheet to table right there, just loading from the web. Let's head back to the notes right here. Oh my gosh. That's my grant. One of my grants. I need more coffee. So we can also view it right here. We can do this in a class. It says don't do it, but as soon as something says don't do it, I do it. You can just click on the data table over here where the name of it is and view it. It's a great way to see what you have going on. Head and tail. What does the head and tail get you whenever you do head or tail of something? Head will get you the what of that object. Tail will get you the what of that object. Even if it's a data frame or a vector, if you run head or tail, what do you get? The first 6, and the 6 by default. So 6 is the default, but you can get something like the first 3 or the last 2 if you change what the defaults are. If you do head on a data frame, you get the start. If you do tail, you get the end. So when we want to view specific entries right here in a data frame, we need to make sure we know it's two-dimensional. Now I want to point something out. There's a little hint right here, a little hint. Like if I have this, what would the following, wrong thing, this is a hint. What would the following give me right here? What would the following code give me? It's called data frame right there. I'm going to the data frame, and what would the following code give me? I'm just going to make that look more pretty. To the columns over there. Oh, that's so cool. That's such a cool data set right there, Whitson. I'm going to take a look at that later. Whitson gets some 100 points of the day. Whitson gave us kind of the extra credit bonus right there, throwing out some really great stuff. Rows 1, 3, and 5. So if you're taking multiple rows, hint, hint. If you're taking multiple rows, kind of a quick way. Does anyone think any of the assignment questions maybe relate to this? If you notice, we'll do some things in the notes right here. Let's go. I think Daniel just figured something out in the assignment. Taking multiple rows can be done right here. Hint, hint. Right there. I try to like point to things that people have been asking about in office hours. Like, hey, you know, that's how you take multiple rows right there. And you can see the same thing going on. We've got code right here showing you the exact same thing for air quality, taking rows 10, 15, 18, or not taking those rows. That's everything but those rows. So good hints right there. You can view a specific column. Once again, what's really cool is you can name the column. I didn't know this for like a year, but if you're trying to find a column, you don't have to worry about what number the column is. You can go to the name of the column, or you could do the $ to get to the column itself by going inside the data frame and doing data frame $ and get to the column there. You can view specific entries lots of ways right here. You can, once again, use the number for the row, number for the column, or a name for the column, or go to the vector and go to the position in the vector. All of these return the same thing right here. All of these return the exact same answer. It's just preference. Obtaining column names. Names. You know what's interesting though? There's also the function call names. I have no idea why. There's like a billion functions that often do the same thing. But call names, if you put a data frame inside of there, will get you the column names of a data frame. What if I were to run this right here and X was that data frame and I run call name position 3? What would this do? What would this do right here? If I run, and it's the same data frame, let's say. X is the same data frame as air quality. It's the air quality data frame. That would get you the column name. And what does this thing do? What the heck is putting this next to it mean? That is the column name. It's going to do win. Great job right there, Yakui. It's going to do the third column name, Now, what if I wanted to do this? I would be whatting the third column name. Let's just put a B right here. What if I did this? If I did this, I would be whatting the third column name. I'd be saying go to the column names and go to position 3 and changing its name. So that's how we can change the name of a variable pretty quickly. We can say, go to the third variable and overwrite it with this right here. We're going to rename the variable name. So good stuff right there. Obtaining column names. I don't think that's super important. Renaming columns, what we talked about right here. We just store into a position. So we got here the names of the columns, position 2, and we're going to rename it to solar radiation. And there you go. Just renaming a column right here. Renaming lots of columns. Now, instead of renaming just one column, we have a whole vector of names right here, and the whole vector of names goes right here. So we're just renaming every column at once by going to the names vector and overwriting the names vector with another vector, and then we've rewritten every column name. And I've used this a lot. I've changed every single column name by saying, like, here's the new column names I want. I'm just going to rewrite blank, 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 blank. And then I just store that and it rewrites every variable name for me. Adding a column, and we saw this earlier. How do we add a column? Like if I have a data frame and I want to make a new variable, what do I simply do? What do I simply do if I have a data frame and I want to make a new variable? If I have a data frame and I want to make a new variable, what do? I write the data frame name, which could be something like small air. And then after the data frame name, I put the $, and then just add a little something. Yeah, just write it whatever you want. Like just call it like new variable or whatever. It doesn't need to be called new variable. It just can be called whatever you want. And then you will just store into that whatever you want. So you'll just create that new data, that new vector inside the data frame. It's Veda right there. Great job. For those following along practicing, this is what you have to do. You have to just hear it like 3 times and get it down. Adding another column, same sort of thing. This one's just a mathematical equation. I don't often do it this way. If you notice right here, this is storing to column 8. You could do that. Column 8 does not exist, so it's creating column 8 since there's no column 8. I don't do it that way. Adding yet another column. This is the long way of doing it. Once again, this is just really long notes. You could store to a new variable, and then you could take and combine the two together. So don't do that method. Adding column results together. If you want, you can add the column results like we saw previously. Good stuff. Removing columns. Now, this is super important. The null object is a reserved special character. And a reserved special character means it has superpowers. What does null do when you null something out? Here's a hint. Here's a bigger hint. What does null do when you null something out? What does null do? Let's try this. Let's go over here to the iris data set and go iris. And let's do variable species null. It's gone. Goes away. We are deleting those things. Erased. Gone. So we are deleting those things by nulling them out. I think if we do it to a data frame, I don't know. I've never nulled a data frame. Let's try it. It's gone. Usually I use remove for data frames. So you can remove a data frame with the remove. If you store the null object into a data frame, it's gone. I know it's an object, but it's an object that is nothing. And you're putting nothing. You're overwriting a with nothing. It's weird. It's a nothing. It is a nothing. How do you get it back? You can load back the data iris, because iris is a data frame that is kind of like always there around in R. And now it's loaded. I hate the promise thing. If you run it, it'll show it. But then you could just remove it again. Just whatever you want. Good questions right there. But if you delete it by accident, especially like a variable, you might have to like reload because there's no undo button. So watch out. If you delete, there's no going back. We go for 5 more minutes, correct? 5 more minutes. We're good. We're good. I was worried. I was like, woo! Adding rows right here. This is the rbind. We're into some very specific stuff right now, and this is not done in your assignment. So if I do something a little bit quickly, wink, 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 it might not be in this assignment, but it's still good to know. When you think of row binding, you're just taking a bunch of rows, and every argument is what are the rows you're binding together. So we're taking this, which is a data frame, and we're binding the rows right here. And if you look, these are the rows that have been bound to this data frame. What I'm circling right here are these rows. That's literally just a row. And we're just taking these rows and we're binding them together. So row binding. You can also column bind, which binds columns together. So you can row bind or column bind, R bind or C bind. Good stuff. This is how to remove rows from a data set, just using the minus. If you want to remove specific rows, like if something has a VS equal to 0, you could find the positions of those with the logical check and then remove them. We're into some very specific stuff right here, so not that big of a deal. One thing I want to end with, though, is subsetting. Here's the big one. I think that people were asking questions about this earlier. When you subset with a data frame, the first thing you need to enter in is your data frame, then your conditions, then the columns you're selecting. So there are examples in the notes, but let's do our own example. Here we go. Perfect place to end today. Let's go to Data Survey 9. What package must, or 10, what package must you have loaded in to load Data Survey 10? If you don't have this loaded, this won't load. What package must you have loaded in? You can see it over there on my screen. What library must you have loaded in to have Data Survey 10? I'll give you a hint. And if you don't have that installed, we will be using it a lot very shortly. Reg class. Does everyone see this is in the reg class package? And you can tell it's in the reg class package because when I start typing it, it tells me it's in reg class right there. So when we do subsets, the way a subset works, and please do this, how do we code? While I type this out, how do we code? I need someone to tell me, how do we code? How do we code? We'll do an activity review on Wednesday, you bet. Yep. Activity review on Wednesday. I'll set up the stream for it. Sorry about that. I haven't done that yet. How do we code? We code in little bits. What is this going to do right here? This is going to create a subset, store it into sub of survey 10. What do you think is going to happen when I run this? Sub is going to be what? When I run this, sub is going to look like what? What do you think sub is going to look like when I run this? What will sub look like? Notice how all I'm doing is saying subset survey 10. That's all I've told it to do. So what will the subset look like? 2-minute timer. It'll look just like survey 10 because there's no conditions. It is survey 10. There's sub and there's survey 10. If this looks like a lot right now, there's sub and there's survey 10. There's no conditions. What about if we go right here and put a comma? Now I like to hit enter so I'm on a different line. You can now write your conditions. Let's say gender, and we don't need to do survey $10 gender because we're in here. Let's say equals equals for logical equals to male. And now watch the subset, and now we only have males. Let's put and with the and right here, let's say height greater than or equal to, if I knew how to write, greater than or equal to 67 inches. And weight less than or equal to 150. Notice how we're subsetting down further. But what now am I doing by putting a comma? By putting a comma, I'm changing my what, and look at how it doesn't subindent anymore. I have now gone to a new what by putting the comma. I have now changed, and I have gone to a new what. I am no longer in the same what by putting this comma, a new argument. I'm selecting columns now on the new line right here, and take a look. The subset now only has this information for the males. So this is a subset of males. So we subsetted survey 10. We took only males, and they had a height greater than or equal to 67 inches, and they had a weight less than or equal to 150. And the columns we selected are these 3 columns right here. Whenever you hit enter right there, great question right there, it'll do it for you. If you go after your comma and you hit enter, it'll do this. And the sub indent happens because we're still in the same argument. So it knows to kind of do a sub indent right there, and it does it automatically. And yeah, Jack and everybody, Jack, 100 points in class. Love it when people are answering and asking questions. Jack tagging Daniel right there to answer the question. If you just hit enter at the end of it, it'll sub indent. Just make sure you're after a comma or after the and. You can't always hit enter at every single spot in your code. You want to be like right after a comma and hit enter, and it'll know to go to the next thing. Or you want to be right after an and or an or. You messaged me on Discord, awesome, and you go check that out. I think how much time do we have till the next class right here? Really great work today, everybody. We'll finish up the notes next time. But I think has anyone completed the assignment? Has anyone completed the assignment yet? Bishop Scaremore? What's that? I'm scared. For those who have completed the assignment, do you feel like we've covered everything pretty well? And it looks like the file is not in the director, Diego. Might need to message me. Being officer is awesome. You have to tell me what happened with the Bishop Diego. Or Bishop Diego Moore. I'm scared now. And Wilton and Parker saying yes, yep. I know it's like, wait, we have a few more notes. Right now, yes, great job. They are a fake high school boy. Wait, really? Okay, is that awesome? Because that does sound awesome. That Google. Oh no. I don't know if this is awesome or horrible. Like it was like, that's awesome, that's horrible, that's awesome, that's horrible. Y'all have to check that out. Oh really? Yeah, that does sound pretty funny. I didn't know about that. No, that's pretty cool. I want to say thank you so much, everybody participating. And if you can't tell, I think a lot of people, let me ask you this. Who's been working on their assignments while in class? And I mean that as a good thing. Has anyone been working? Who's grown? What? No way. Grown men like 24 or grown men like Brian's age like 40? Go look at Discord. Oh, look at here. So you got it, Lindsay. I've been trying sometimes. The more you're coding along with me, the better. I know it's a lot. I know there's a lot to pay attention to. 22-ish. I'm kidding. God, I feel old. I'll have a 4 beside my name here soon. I'll be a 40-something-year-old dude. I'm a 40-year-old kid. Charmander, what do you think about that? Charmander. I'm gonna be a 40-year-old kid, man. Charmander. You want to talk to them? You want to say how you doing? That's all he's got to say. Can you send the officer's link again? You bet. Here, Charmander, you just chill out right here. You chill out. He's going to fall off the screen if I do that. Okay. Go over there, Charmander. Be that way. Let me get the officer's link again. I pull up the stream and it's like going crazy. Live in 15 minutes. Oh, let's take a look. Awesome. Well, that's got it, everybody. I'll head off here so we can, I can reply some Discords and stuff. Oh, no. We'll try to get it fixed up right there. I'm playing the same song. New song. I'll take a look. I'm going to try to hop over to Discord and answer some questions real quick. We'll be back here, everybody. Let me turn off the classes over screen. We'll get things fixed up. Message me immediately if you have problems. I am stuck on questions everywhere. It is subsets. Do it in those little bits. Little tiny bits. Let's do this. We'll be back, everybody. Office hours soon. See you there. Bye. Morty will do all right. We'll be picking him up tonight. Hop on over to Discord.